In the beginning was the Word was with God, and the Word was God. And when you hear the word from God, it will enable you to experience your glorious divine status. We are going through the Gospel of Mark, chapter 14, which contains the Lord's Supper. It's a very significant section, very enigmatic, and very much looked into by the Christian world as a very significant section. Now, here too also, there's an ongoing link or a connection from the end of the 13th chapter, wherein Jesus had enjoined his disciples to watch and pray. And then thereafter, how to pray and where to pray is being very ingeniously and enigmatically presented and revealed by Jesus in the Lord's Supper. So in the Lord's Supper, we find that the 12 disciples, along with Jesus, had gathered at the upper room of the guest chamber in the particular house, apparently said to be the house of Mark's father, the Mark whose gospel we are going through. And the guest chamber was ready and prepared for their supper. It's in the upper room, wherein they all gathered together to sup. Now, it's rather intriguing and interesting that where is this chamber? The chamber of every person, of every individual. Of course, it's in the mind. All experiences are relished in the mind. All sensory inputs which come your way, as per instance, music, which comes via your ears and through your ears, gets cherished, entertained, and enjoyed as a musical event in the mind. So also the forms, the various forms that you see, beautiful forms in the world, Via their eyes they enter, and they're all relished in the mind. So the input is in the mind. So wherein each one is experiencing the phenomena, the sensory phenomena of the world. It's all fed into the mind. So therefore, it is the mind, it is in the same mind itself that the feast is held. The Passover, the Passover meal, as it is said, is relished in the mind itself. So there it is, allegorically and symbolically indicated that in the chamber of each person's mind, each one relishes and enjoys and partakes of the sensory phenomena. So it's the mind which is the chamber, the guest chamber. And it is in the same mind that you have to enter in order to be in a prayerful state. Even in a prayerful state, you close the doors of your 10 senses, sense organs, along with the mind and the intellect, which is 12. And having done so, in the quiet chambers of your mind, wherein there is no sensory input, in a state of prayerful state or meditative state, as we said, the prayerful state is a meditative state wherein you are in communion with the divine, or in another phraseology, we could say that you are supping, having with the divine, as it was indicated in the book of Revelations, which we had indicated yesterday in our teachings, that it was mentioned that the Lord, when you open the heart, and then in the mind chamber, the Lord sups with you and you sup with him. So that's where the feast is taking place. The supper is taking place, the Last Supper. So therefore, in that mind chamber, in the prayer state, a prayerful state, prayers, how to pray, how and where to pray and how to pray. Of course, where to pray, you pray in your mind. Where to pray, you pray in your mind, and how to pray is indicated herein, whereby you withdraw all your 12 senses, gather them together. That is why the disciples were gathered together. They were gathered together to partake of the feast, of the Passover meal. The Passover meal from servitude. From servitude. Prior to that, because prior to that, the Israelites were held in captivity in Egypt. And when they came out of captivity, they were yearly celebrating this Passover, wherein they are passing over. Passover means passing over, getting over from one state of human bondage, which is from being a captive, to the state of freedom. You're passing over, pass over from one state to another state. So to celebrate that, they were having this Passover meal. In the same way also, you too, as a human individual, you are held in captive at the moment to your three bodies, to your physical body, your subtle body, and your causal body, and you're in captivity there. So therefore, to come out of this captivity, you have to now on your own undertake or go through this process of the prayerful state, the prayers, watch and pray. As Jesus said, you watch and pray. That watch and pray means be in a prayerful state. And in that prayerful state, you are watching, you are an observer, you are a silent observer, observing the divine, ever-present divine, which is there within you. And when you do that, what is happening to you is you are coming out of captivity, to a new state of freedom. A new state of freedom wherein you will eventually, not immediately, but eventually, you will arrive at salvation. So as you keep on, so Jesus' Last Supper, really speaking, is the first of many suppers for the entire humanity, for each and every single individual in the world who aspires to get out of human bondage to the state of freedom, from being a captive to your body, to your physical body, you're held in captivity, to your physical body, to your subtle body, to your human individuality. So you got to get released from that and attain to the state of freedom. And that state, that process could be attained or achieved by every single individual when he goes through this, when he sups with the Lord in a prayerful state. So through this process, he emerges out of captivity into freedom, into total freedom. So therefore, there is a beautiful connection from what Jesus mentioned earlier to the Last Supper. So the Last Supper is a very, very enigmatic teaching, allegorically given by Jesus for the entire human race. And then Jesus says, and as they did eat, line number 22, and as they did eat, Jesus took bread and blessed and brake it and gave to them and said, "Take, eat, this is my body." So as they did eat, as they were eating, Jesus took the bread and blessed it. So they're getting the divine blessing for their new venture, the blessings of Jesus and the blessings of God, and bless the food and break it and broke it and gave to them and broke it into little bits and gave to each one of them. Then he said, "Take, eat. This is my body. This is my body." Now don't take this word literally. He doesn't want you to be a cannibal. Not in the least. Not in the least. So the word, "this is my body," implies something else. The implication is very different. So this body, what is this body? The body of the scriptures, of the New Testament, of the words, the teachings which have been given in the four Gospels. So the words which have been given, the teachings which have been given by Jesus and which are found, the truth teachings which are found in the four Gospels, it is this which is allegorically mentioned as the body of words, the body of sentences, the body of teachings, not that it is a physical body. So therefore, so he says, eat this. So receive this, receive my teachings, which I have given so far, the body of words, the body of beautiful mystical statements which I have given you so far. So this is the Lord's Supper. This is the supper. This is a true supper. This is the spirit sense of the true supper, wherein you are to partake. You have got to eat and digest the contents of the teachings of Jesus. You've got to receive it and digest its contents. Of course, you can receive it from one ear and let it through the other ear, but that's not what it means here. You've got to receive the teachings and eat it and digest it. Digest the teachings. So eat. This is my body. And then, having said this much, he took the cup, and when he had given thanks, he gave it to them. So he took a cup. Of course, at that time, it was customary for people to drink a little wine along with their meals. So that was a natural thing, because after all, wine there, it was out of grapes, it was made, and it was part of the culture, and it was okay. So he took the cup, and when he had given thanks, he gave it to them, and they all drank of it, and they all drank. And then he said unto them, this is my blood of the New Testament. This is my blood of the New Testament. So when you eat the food, the essence of the food, what does it do? It becomes blood. When you ingest and digest the food that you have taken becomes blood. So here also, it is once again allegorically and any statement indicated that the essence of my teachings, when you understand and live it, then the fine essence of it is like blood. It has infused into your mind, psychological system. These teachings of mine have entered into your psychological nature. And therefore, he said, this is my blood of the New Testament. Now, he is very clearly mentioning it. What is this blood? The blood is not physical blood. Not the red blood, wherein you take a blood test. No, it's not that blood, but it is. He says the blood of the New Testament. So he's very clear there. The New Testament, which is the 4 Gospels. The 4 Gospels given by Jesus is the New Testament. In fact, with that, the scripture should be complete along with the book of Revelations. Because with the book of Revelations was also was revealed by Jesus subsequently later on to John, the disciple John, at the island of Patmos. So the 4 Gospels along with the book of Revelations constitute the New Testament. While the Acts and the epistles of Paul, they are a different matter altogether. You can call them as supplements to the scripture. They're just supplements, commentaries, letters written by Paul. That's a different issue altogether. But the New Testament is that which is very precise, wherein the teachings of Jesus comes into the scene. And in that teaching, in this particular this particular King James Version, the word New Testament has been used. In the NIV version of the Bible, which has been published in the United States, instead of the word New Testament, they have used the word covenant. This is my covenant. Both are correct. So covenant. So here also, because God had given two covenants to mankind. One was the old covenant, which was found in the Old Testament as per the teachings of the 10 Commandments. That are the old covenant. Based on that which lays the ethical and moral foundation of life, then the subsequent covenant, which has been given by God, and that is by Jesus, is said to be the new covenant, the new second covenant, and that is the 4 Gospels. So they are linked together. So therefore, that is why it's called the New Testament. That's called the Old Testament. There is the New Testament. Not that they are separate, but they are linked together. They are linked together. So now here the New Testament is the teachings of Jesus, the fine essence of it. This is my blood of the New Testament, drink it. He says, drink it. The fine essence of the blood, drink it. And what is the fine essence of his teaching? The entire 4 Gospels revolves around one important statement of Jesus, which he had made, which is found in the Gospel of John. And that is, he says, you are gods. You are gods. And this statement further gets totally exemplified and outlined in the 4 Gospels. You are gods. So that is why Jesus says, "Oh Father," in the same Gospel of John it is indicated, "Oh Father, thou who art in me, and I in thee indeed, pray, make them one with us. Make them one with us. As you and I are one, make them also, make all of these people, the entire humanity, one with us." So it's very clear. It's a prayer, it's a supplication, it's a prayer of Jesus to God. So it's very clear that it confirms what Jesus had mentioned, that you are gods. That is where when he says you are gods, you are one with God. That's what it means. You are one with God, you are none separate from God. God is in you and you are in God. As Jesus said, "Oh Father, I in thee and thou in me. I am in God and God is in me." So similarly also, as far as you are concerned, you have got to feel this to yourself, that I exist in God and God exists in me. God and I are one. We are not two, we are not separate, but we are one. And this is the essence of the New Testament, which each person has to now soak in the flavor of this understanding. The flavor in the essence of this understanding. And in the total essence, in the essence of this understanding is that is why he said, "This is my blood, drink." So every time you are in a meditative state, then you are partaking of the essence of this understanding, of this knowledge, that I and my Father are one, that I am God indeed. So when you begin to feel this way, then in due course of time, you shall experience your God nature. It's an inevitable process. So that's why we said, the Last Supper of Jesus is the first of many suppers of the human race, of every individual. And as you keep on going through your first supper, subsequently hundreds and hundreds of those, and every time you meditate, you are in sup with the Lord, and the Lord is in sup with you. And thus, in due course, the state of enlightenment, wherein you get enlightened to your divine nature, transpires. So therefore, to make you understand the truth and the significance of this very profound statement, truth statement. So Jesus said, this is my blood of the New Testament, drink it. Feel to yourself that you and the Lord, the good Lord, we are one indeed. Feel that to yourself. So that is why it is said, oh, blessed children of God. You're not sinners, you are the blessed child of God. Every person in the world, because he has the human potential within himself to experience his divine nature. Since you have the potential which has been implanted, impregnated within you by God himself, when he said that man is made let us make man in our own image. When he said that, he has implanted his nature within you. And it is your pristine duty to be in the nature of God. And whenever you are in a meditative state, you are now in the nature of God. You are in the image of God. And that's the Last Supper. That's the significance of that Last Supper indeed. When you are constantly in the image of God, in a meditative state, being aware. So that is what. So now that concludes the earlier pronouncement wherein Jesus said, watch and pray. Watch and pray. So when you are in this state, you are in the image of God. You're automatically in the image of God. And thus, this is so, this my blood of the New Testament, which is shed for many, which is given for many. The more correct wording should be, which is given for many, for all. Verily I say unto you, I will drink no more of the fruit of the vine until that day that I drink it new in the kingdom of God. So now Jesus declares and says, verily I say unto you, I will no more drink of the fruit of the vine. So there he is referring to it literal. Because that Last Supper was the last meal that Jesus had. And the last drink that he had. He's not going to have any more drinks and any more food. Because the next day he'll be crucified. He'll be crucified the next day, and therefore that was the last meal that he had. So that's why he says, I will drink no more of the fruit of the vine until that day that I drink it new in the kingdom of God. Until that day, when I get to the kingdom of God, I'll drink it anew in my new state, because my mission is over here. And thereafter, when they had sung a hymn, so they all sang a hymn, the last hymn. Not only was it the last summer, but the last hymn too. It's good to have the last hymn before you want to go out somewhere to make an exit. It's good to have a last hymn, the first hymn and the last hymn. And they went out into the Mount of Olives. So they went to the Mount of Olives. And Jesus said unto them, all you shall be offended because of me this night. All of you shall be offended because of me. Offended here means all of you will be frightened because of me. In a state of fear. Because I have told you that I am going to exit this world. They're going to take me and put an end to me. And all of you are frightened. All of you shall be offended because of me, because this night. So because of what I have told you and what's going to happen. For it is written, what can I do? It is written. I will smite the shepherd. I will smite the shepherd. I will kill the shepherd, Huh? And the sheep shall be scattered, and you are just sheep, and you will all be scattered. So the shepherd will be struck, and the sheep will be dispersed and scattered indeed. Yeah? But remember what? But after that I am risen, but thereafter after I have been smitten and crucified, but after that I am risen, I will arise. I will go before you into Galilee, and you will be proceeding towards Galilee. All of you will be proceeding towards Galilee after that, after the crucifixion. But I will go before you. Before you can reach Galilee, I'll be there. Huh? I will go before you into Galilee. And that's exactly what happened after the resurrection of Jesus. He spent another 40 days. And during this period, now he went to Galilee. But Peter said unto him, but in the meantime, Peter said unto him, although all shall be offended, yet will not I. Now, Peter is trying to courageously talk. Even though everybody is frightened, offended, means everybody is frightened, yet I will not be frightened of what's going to happen. And Jesus said unto him, and Jesus told him very well, verily I say unto thee, verily, verily I say unto thee, that this day, even in this night, in this very night itself, before the cock crow twice, thou shalt deny me thrice. You will deny me thrice before the night is over. Huh? And in the meantime, the cock will crow also, the rooster will crow 2 times. So by that time, you would have denied me 3 times. And then he said, but he spake the more vehemently. But then Peter was vehemently denying that he will not be frightened and run away. He will not run away. He will not do that. But he spake the more vehemently. Even if I should die with thee. So Peter said, even if I should die with thee, I will not deny thee in any wise. Even if I die with you, I will not deny you. But that is exactly what he did. So now this shows how much people love their physical existence in a body. They don't want to die. They don't want to die. So I will not deny thee in any wise. I will not deny you in any way. Likewise also said they all, and all of the others also bravely said that. They are brave words. But indeed they were all cowards. They ran away. So what such wonderful disciples. And you will be surprised to know many other disciples are like that in the world. When it comes to an issue, you will find all of them disappearing from the master. In a crisis situation, you may find at the most one coming to his. All the others get so afraid of the situation, they will run away. Thou shalt, so he says, if I should die with thee, I will not deny thee in any wise. Likewise also said they all of them said that. And then now I'll read the other NIV version, which is a little better to read. Then line number 32. I'm reading the other version of the book, the NIV version, which is a little more clear to read. They went to a place called Gethsemane in the Mount of Olives, and Jesus said to his disciples, sit here while I pray. So all of you others, all the others, you sit here while I pray. He took Peter, James, and John along with him. So he took his primary three disciples, Peter, John, and James, along with him, and he began to be deeply distressed and troubled. And he took the three of them along. But at that moment, at that point, Jesus became deeply distressed and troubled. He became distressed and troubled. And he said, my soul is overwhelmed with sorrow to the point of death. My soul is overwhelmed with sorrow to the point of death, because Jesus is aware of the painful process that he is going to go through in the crucifixion, because the crucifixion is a very painful, excruciating process, very horrendous to experience. And Jesus knows that, is aware of that, how horrible it would be. And the person who gets crucified, he doesn't die immediately. It takes a number of days for him to die. It's slow death. It is slow, painful death. So therefore, Jesus says, my soul is overwhelmed with sorrow to the point of death. It's very troubling me. He said to them, sit here and keep watch. Sit here, but never mind, you sit here and keep watch. So now Jesus is expressing the agony in his heart. Of course, this would be the agony in the heart of every single individual who would go through a similar process. And Jesus is expressing this agony. He's just expressing what an individual would go through in a crucifixion. So he's just expressing it. Going a little further, Jesus, he fell to the ground and prayed. He got onto the ground, he fell to the ground and prayed that if possible, the hour might pass from him. He prayed, if possible, that hour might pass from him. That particular hour. That means everyone is fated to go through his fate. So here too also, Jesus was ordained to go through this fate. And no one can escape that fate. But that fate occurs at a particular time. If that time passes, you have escaped that fate. There is a time for that fate to take place. So therefore, Jesus says, and he prayed to the ground like an ordinary mortal. If possible, the hour might pass from him. If possible, let the hour pass away, that particular appointed hour, let it pass away from him. And then he said, Abba, oh Father, Abba. Abba, A-B-B-A, Abba, Father. It's wonderful, the word Abba. In the Tamil language, a very similar word is used for father, Appa. Tamil is one of the ancient classical languages of the world. And here in this language, the word Appa, and here in the Hebrew, Israelites, Abba, Abba, A-B-B-A, Abba. How correspondingly close it is. Abba, Father, it means Father. He said, Everything is possible for you. Of course, everything is possible for you. And therefore, take this cup from me. This cup, this fated cup, because this is the fated cup. There he gave the cup to his disciples to drink. Now this is his cup, his destiny. Take this cup from me, from what I am destined to go through. But at the same time, O Father, not what I will, but what you will. So not what I will, which is to take, which should happen, but what you will. In the same way also, now this is a lesson for mankind. This is a lesson for mankind. You may will or wish something else, but what will happen to you is the will of God, not my will, but thy will. So once again, an education is given by Jesus in this hour of crisis, in this hour of crisis and despondency. Even in this state, Jesus is giving you a teaching, not my will. Of course, I know this is going to happen to me. But nevertheless, if the hour can pass, well and good. If not, so be it. Not my will, but thy will. Yet not what I will, but what you will. So Jesus resigns himself to his fate. He goes through this process to indicate to you how mortal man has to go through his inner turmoils and eventually arrive and accept his fate. Accept, because you know it's going to happen. So death is imminent for everyone, and therefore accept it and the matter is over.
You've got mail.
Everyone has to die at some point, somewhere, at some place, at any given time. And the moment you accept it, the matter is over. You can live fearlessly after that. So here also the same thing. So therefore Jesus says, it's not what I will, but what you will. So you accept what's in store for you, what you are fated to go through. What you are fated to go through. Because no one can get out of his fate. But the wonderful thing about the fate is that you don't know your fate. In Jesus' instance, he knew his fate. That was the problem. While the disciples did not know their fate, even though they were told by Jesus, they didn't take it too seriously, you see. But as far as Jesus was concerned, he knew his fate beforehand itself. And Abba, he said, and everything is possible for you. Take this cup from me, yet not what I will. It's not my will, but thy will. But what you will. So I resign myself. I accept it. I accept it. So with acceptance now, Jesus is proceeding. He's proceeding. Once more he went away and prayed the same thing. So once again he went. Jesus went back and prayed the same thing over again. And when he came back, he again found them sleeping. Or before that, there's a paragraph which I missed, line number 37. Then he returned to his disciples and found them sleeping. After having so prayed, in line number 37, he returned back to his disciples. And what did he see? He found them sleeping. Simon, he said, Simon, he said to Peter, are you asleep? Because he had told them, sit here. Are you asleep? Could you not keep watch for 1 hour? Could you not keep watch for 1 hour? I was away praying for 1 hour? Could you not keep watch for 1 hour? So that means herein there is a lesson there. The lesson is, to begin with, by and by, everyone should learn to meditate for 1 hour. For 1 hour in the beginning. If you are a beginner, gradually, by and by, 15 minutes, half an hour, 45 minutes, get to 1 hour. And if you have done that, you have done well. Initially, for a number of weeks and months, keep on meditating for 1 hour, because that's your limit. That's your limit of capacity or capability. So therefore, he says, could you not have watched for 1 hour? Could you not have kept watch for 1 hour? Be in a prayerful state for 1 hour? Watch and pray, so that you will not fall into temptation. Watch and pray. So he's telling them, watch and pray, which he had earlier mentioned. So all through the same dialogue is going on. Watch and pray, so that you will not fall into temptation. Of course, whenever you don't watch and pray, you are in the sensory world. And when you are in the sensory world has got that magical power to entice you and lead you astray. Lead you astray into temptations, various forms of temptations. So therefore he says, watch and the way to avoid that is to watch and pray, so that you will not fall into temptations, because there are various types of temptations which are unique to each person. And therefore, in order to be strengthened yourself, to be strong, to be spiritually strong, you've got to maintain vigilance and watch for that, watch and pray, so that you will not succumb to temptations. That is why it is said, an empty mind is a devil's workshop. That's what it means, the devil's workshop. Because the moment your mind is not engaged with anything useful, the devil in you takes over. The devil in you. Devil in you means the devilish impressions which you have, they will take over. So therefore, you've got to constantly keep watch over them. So therefore, we have got to keep watch over our minds. Watch over our minds, so that a wrong or an undesirable state of mind or an undesirable impression does not surface and take you for a good ride. So therefore, one has to now be vigilant, very careful. So watch and pray, so that you will not fall into temptation. And then there is a very famous, oft-quoted statement of Jesus. The spirit is willing, but the flesh is weak. The spirit is willing. The spirit in man is willing, but the flesh is weak. But the flesh is weak. Your spirit in you, it's willing to get into meditation. But what to do? Your flesh is weak. Huh? So that is exactly what happens in normal life too. So there are three energies which operate in every person. In every person, there are three types of energies. The energy, so whenever you go into sleep or fall asleep, the energy of inertia, the energy of laziness takes over. It's a different type of energy, wherein you become indifferent or callously indifferent. You get overpowered by sleep or a sleepy state. So at that time, a very passive energy in you overpowers you, and you don't feel like doing anything. So that is exactly what transpired to Peter and his fellow disciples. And this energy operates off in the night time. That is why in the night time, everyone feels like going to sleep. This energy takes over a person's life, and he becomes sluggish, lazy, and falls into sleep. So this is exactly what happened to the Peter and the other disciples in the night time. Then in the daytime, you have a robust, active energy operating within you, and you become vibrant and go about doing everything in the world. This is the active energy which is operative now. Now, both of these energies are not conducive for meditation. Then there is a third type of energy, which is an energy of peace, wherein you are calm, you are at peace with yourself, all your restlessness has gone away, and you are peacefully quiet. Then at that time, that's the best time to meditate. That state is very conducive to be in meditation or to be in a meditative state. So therefore, you have to train yourself to ever constantly be in this calm, poised, balanced, equanimous frame of mind, or equanimous frame of energy, that you do not get unduly agitated or disturbed by the phenomena around you, but peacefully learn to operate and live your life. By this, the peaceful energy settles into you day and night, and it enables you to eventually, and it will help you to get into meditation and be in a meditative state. So when you are balanced and you are serene, you can function in the world in a meditative state. And at the same time, whenever you want to, you can also get into meditation proper, into deep meditation, or rather to be in a state, in a prayerful state. So thus, these are the three energies which operate in a person. And therefore, we have to, that's why Jesus says, the spirit truly is willing, but the flesh is weak, because the flesh is inundated by the powers of these three energies. They fluctuate all the time in a man's life, every day. In every 24 hours a day, it keeps on fluctuating. And then, having reprimanded Peter, again he went away and prayed and spake the same words. Second time, Jesus went to pray, and once again he prayed to God in the same manner that he had prayed first. And he spoke the same words. And when he returned, he found them asleep again. After 1 hour, another 1 hour when he came back, he found the boys wonderfully sleepy again. They were all fast asleep. For their eyes were heavy. Their eyes had become heavy and droopy. Neither they wished to answer him. They didn't even want to answer him. He called them. They were far too gone into sleep. They didn't even care to answer their master, Jesus. And then what to do? And he cometh the third time. And once again Jesus went and said unto them, sleep on now. When he took, the third time he said, sleep on now and take your rest. All right, boys, take your rest. What to do? Your children, take your rest. It is enough. It is enough. The hour is come. All right, after that, the hour has come. The time has come. The time has come for Jesus to be captured. The hour is come. Behold, the Son of Man is betrayed in the hands of sinners. Behold, the Son of Man is destined into the hands of sinners. He is destined to be handed over to the sinners. Rise up, let us go. Let us go from here. And lo, he that betrayeth me is at hand. And lo, he that betrayeth me is at hand. Now a very intriguing question gets asked. How is it? We'll come to that section a little later because that is coming there. I'll come to that. Rise up, let us go. Lo, he that betrayeth me is at hand. Or that one who is supposed to betray me is at hand. And immediately, while he yet spake, cometh Judas, one of the 12, with him a great multitude, with swords and staves, sent from the chief priests and the scribes and the elders. And immediately after that, I'll take the next one. Just as he was speaking, Judas, one of the 12, appeared with him. With him was a crowd armed with swords and clubs, sent from the chief priest, the teachers of the law, and the elders. So now, those who had come to take away Jesus were those who was the guards who were sent, the guards and the other officials who were sent by the chief priest and the scribes and the Sadducees. They are the ones now responsible for the imminent arrest of Jesus, to take him away. And so they came there with swords, and they came with swords and clubs, with clubs. And he that betrayeth him had given him a token, saying, and Judas, he who was supposed to betray him, gave them an indication or a sign. And what was that sign? A token, saying, whomsoever I shall kiss, that same is he. Whomsoever of these people, of these persons around there, whom I will go and kiss, may you understand that that is Jesus. That is Jesus. So it's a remarkable kiss indeed. You may call it the kiss of death. The kiss of death. That's remarkable. Whomsoever I shall kiss, that same is he. Take him and lead him away. The kiss of death was given to Jesus. And of course, when a person dies, he is taken to the altar. He is taken to the altar when a person dies. And a thanksgiving ceremony is held for him. Thanksgiving ceremony is held for him. But in Jesus' case, the kiss of death was given to Jesus. That's why it's called the kiss of death. But there is another kiss of death, which if you get, what happens is, once again, a dead man is taken to the altar. But when you receive the kiss of death, you're also led to the altar. So while you're alive, if you receive the kiss of death, once again, you're also led to the altar. So both ways, the kiss of death is a dangerous kiss. It marks your end. So the kiss of death is a spiritual death. It brings about a spiritual death in a person. And therefore, that was a sign by which Jesus was revealed. He was revealed to the gods. And as soon as he was come, he goeth straight away to him and said, Master, Master. So Judas, as soon as he came there, he went to the master and said, Master, Master, and kissed him. And they laid their hands on him and took him. And immediately, the guards, they caught hold of Jesus and led him away and took him immediately. And then what happened? And one of them that stood by, that one of those persons who drew a sword, that is, say, one of Jesus' fellow persons around, drew a sword and smote a servant of the high priest. And he smote the ear of the servant of the high priest. Because servants and guards were sent there, and one of those persons around Jesus took out a weapon and smote the ear and cut off his ear. And Jesus promptly answered and said unto them, Are you come out as against a thief? Have you come here to catch a thief? Have you come here to catch a thief? Because with swords and with staves to take me? Normally, if you want to apprehend a dangerous person, you approach him with weapons. But here, Jesus is an innocent fakir, is an innocent hermit. Why do you want swords and sticks to take him? Against him. So, are you come here against a thief with swords and weapons, with staves to take me? I was daily with you. Every day I was with you. In the temple, every day I've been there with you every day. Teaching, I've been teaching there every day. And you took me not, and you did not take me. You dare not take me. You did dare to take me. But now stealthily, in the night time, with clubs and swords, you come to take me. So there is something wrong here. I was daily with you in the temple teaching, and you took me not, but you didn't take me. But what to do? The scriptures must be fulfilled. The prophecy in the scriptures must be fulfilled, that Jesus will be taken and led, condemned, and then subsequently crucified. Then when they took him, then what happened? They all forsook him. And fled. All the disciples fled. They were such brave disciples, they all ran away. They were so frightened, they all ran away. Ran for their life. But there was one interesting person around there. They all forsook, and there followed him a certain young man. But there was one young man who didn't run away, but he followed them. He followed them, a young fellow. A certain young man, and he was only having a linen cloth cast about his naked body. This young man was just having a linen cloth like a bed sheet wrapped around his body. a linen cloth. So that means an expensive cloth. So he must have come from a well-to-do family. And he had wrapped himself around that. And he had appeared there. And so therefore there followed him a certain young man, having a linen cloth cast about his naked body. And the young men laid hold on him. And the soldiers and the guards, they caught hold of him. So when they caught hold of him, because he was wrapped in a linen cloth, they caught hold of the cloth, and this fellow was able to run naked. Our wonderful young man who was in his teens, because when they caught him, because it was not tied, it was just wrapped around, they were only able to catch his cloth, while this fellow he ran naked. And who was this wonderful guy who ran naked? It was no less than our Mark, who has written this gospel. For this Mark was a young lad at that time. He was a young boy in his teenage years. And apparently, when the guards were passing beside his house, he had quickly wrapped himself with a piece of linen and come there to witness the proceedings or whatever it was. And there, when they tried to catch him, he left his garment, his linen cloth, and ran for his life. And this is how. So this was Mark. But now there's another thing. Now in this gospel, how do we know that it is Mark? Because in the meantime, Mark had come there in the night time, and Jesus had told all the other disciples, you stay here while I go and pray. And his prayers, wherein he had mentioned, in his prayers, Jesus had mentioned, and yes, Jesus had mentioned, he said, Abba, all things. So that expression which Jesus made, the loud prayer, which Jesus made earlier in the Mount of Olives, in the Mount of Olives, wherein he had said, Abba, Father, all things are possible unto thee. Take away this cup from me. Nevertheless, not what I will, but what thou wilt should only transpire. Now, no one else heard that. But the only one who heard this was, because Jesus had told all the other disciples to stay away while he went secretly to meditate, to pray. So the only person who was around the scene was this fellow Mark. Mark, surreptitiously, he had followed Jesus, even when, because Jesus had not told him, he had not seen him. Now, Jesus, of course, knew that this fellow Mark is there. He would have known that this fellow Mark was, because he had told the others not to come, but Mark was not one of his disciples at that time. So Mark had the liberty to follow Jesus quietly without Jesus knowing. He thought that Jesus knew not, but Jesus knew, of course, this fellow is following him. Of course, he would have known. So in order so that he can hear, so that Mark can hear, Jesus made those supplications to God. So that is why this is noted down in this book of Mark, nowhere else. In the book of Mark, you find this. Abba, Father, that particular prayer which Jesus, the last prayerful words which Jesus uttered to God, is now is in this text of Mark, because it was Mark who heard it straight from Jesus' lips. So this is how we come to know that the boy in the linen who ran away was Mark. His name at that time was Marcus. Marcus was his name, Jewish name. So Mark's part of another name for him, he had another name called Marcus, which is a Jewish name. And Mark he came from a fairly well-to-do family, and therefore he was well educated. He was well educated. And as a result of it, he was the one who was able to write down this particular gospel, the Gospel of Mark, which he had heard from Peter. Peter dictated and told Mark the entire gospel, and then Mark wrote it down. So actually it is Peter's gospel written by Mark in Mark's language, because Peter, being a fisherman, did not know how to write. He was unlettered, uneducated. While Mark was an educated person, literate, he was a scribe too. So therefore, this is how the young man who fled was Marcus was his Jewish name. Then we'll continue from this. Om Tat Sat. We'll continue tomorrow, next week. I believe next week it will be over. 2 more sessions.